Good morning again.
Morning, ma'am.
Did you get time to read? Yes. Okay. What did you understand from that? What are the things that we are going to learn? Tell.
Free association and dream interpretation.
Free association and dream analysis or dream interpretation. Okay. Now, before that, do you know how a psychoanalytic therapeutic setting looks like? Have you seen before? Do you know the significance of it? Do you know the features? No. No. Okay. We'll see one picture and come back. Looks something like this. There'll be a couch, and the therapist will. They'll not be sitting face to face. Most probably, they won't be sitting face to face. And in free association, this is what we do. We ask the client to relax, and if they want, they can close their eyes or they can keep it open. And they are mainly in psycho when we discuss about psychoanalytic therapy, then the clients who come for this kind of therapy, they are made to lie on a couch like this. Okay. And then they can freely associate, they can speak about anything that comes to their mind. So they talk about different things, and they go from one topic to another. And from that, the therapist sits and interprets the unconscious matter that they are talking about. Okay, that's what usually happens in psychoanalytic psychotherapy. So, this is the basic setting, how this looks like. Now, free association and dream analysis, we have already learned the basics. What is free association? What is dream analysis? And we also did one activity. That is also one form of free association. The therapist will tell one word, then the client will tell any word associated to it. Whatever comes to that person's mind, the client would revert back. Okay, that also is one method of free association. The dream analysis is, again, as the word suggests, it is the analysis of dreams, the contents of dreams. Remember the two types of contents of dreams? Two names. We learned one word for the term hidden. What was that?
Latent.
Latent. Latent content, and one more content was there in the dreams. Remember anyone? Starts with M. No. Manifest content. Have you heard of that? Manifest content. No. Or don't remember. There are two types of contents for dreams. It's not there in this portion. It is manifest content and latent content. Latent content means which is hidden, which you cannot, reach. That is there in our unconscious. Manifest content means the content which we can recall after waking up. That is manifest content of a dream. Okay. So manifest content and latent content. That's it. Then, what else is there about free association? Hmm. What are we searching for when we do free association or dream analysis? Why are we doing it?
To solve the intrapsychic conflicts.
To solve the intrapsychic conflict. But to solve intrapsychic conflict, we'll give therapy or treatment, isn't it? These are psychoanalytical methods, which means to analyze the psyche, which means if we have to give a proper treatment for the clients or a proper therapy, then we have to identify what is causing these intrapsychic conflicts or what are these intrapsychic conflicts, isn't it? Can we generalize it into intrapsychic conflict and give treatment for anything? We have to find its root cause, isn't it? Sometimes it might be childhood trauma, sometimes it might be any unfulfilled desire, anything. So we need to find out what that particular cause is. What is the root cause of this intrapsychic conflict? Isn't it? I'll share the screen. Okay. So according to Sigmund Freud, how does our structure of mind look like? Or what is it compared to?
An iceberg.
An iceberg, yes. Pardon, it is a red iceberg. And how many levels are there?
3 of them.
3 of them. Which is this level? Which is this
Conscious.
level? Huh?
Conscious.
Consciousness. A conscious level. The next one?
Preconscious.
Conscious or subconscious? This one?
Unconscious.
Which one?
Unconscious.
Unconscious. This is the U part. So, in iceberg, the area under the sea. That comes, the area under the sea level which we cannot see. That is the unconscious. The area under the sea which we can see, that is the subconscious. From where we can gain the memories and knowledge and everything. We can recall those into the consciousness. We can bring them back to the conscious level. That is okay. Now here we have the unfulfilled desire. In this area, we have the unfulfilled desires, unfulfilled wishes, then the fears, irrational fears, then sexual instincts, which you think is undesirable. All that is here. Now, who is the one who puts all these things into this unconscious? Who is the one who prevents all these things from becoming conscious?
The ego and the superego.
Partially correct.
Ego.
It's the ego. What defense mechanism did we learn?
Ego defense.
Ego defense mechanism. So, ego is the one fighting for us, fighting to prevent anxiety. So, if these things start coming into, if suppose you have certain unfulfilled desires or fears inside you, what if that comes into consciousness? That will induce anxiety in the person. Okay. So, again, we have 3 workers: id, ego, superego. And who is our hero?
Ego.
Ego. Ego deals with these two. Ego deals with this whole thing too. Okay. So ego has certain defense mechanisms like, give me the names. Like,
Repression.
repression. Not depression, it's repression. Repression. Repression means that's a general ego defense mechanism, preventing the unconscious material from being conscious. That is repression. Then, give me other names. One is repression. Then, other ego defense mechanisms. The main techniques that we learned, sentence completion. All those are what kind of techniques? Sentence completion, Rorschach, Inkblot, all those comes under what kind of techniques? What methods? What methods are they?
Those are used to bring out the unconscious material.
That I also know. The heading. Under what heading did we learn that? Oh my god. You don't know that? Rorschach Inkblot test, then this sentence completion test, PF study. Under what did we learn all that? Nobody knows it. Starts with P.
Personality test.
Personality test. But what kind of personality test were they?
Projective. Projective.
Projective techniques. They were projective techniques, okay? Projective techniques, and they are used to project our unconscious material into the test material. Okay. Don't forget that they are projective techniques. So projection, that's also one among the defense mechanisms. Projection. Okay. Now, so ego, what does it do? It prevents the unconscious from being conscious. That is the main role of ego, and also it solves the issues between id and superego generally. It, according to situation, ego analyzes a situation if it is morally applicable, or is it can I allow the id to work alone. The ego decides all these things. Ego is a moderator or a mediator between id and superego. Okay. Now, in free association and all, what we try to do is whatever this unconscious material is there in the client, we try to bring that into the conscious level. So obviously, anxiety would be there. Okay. And we are interpreting whatever content the client is giving us. Suppose in free association, they are speaking about certain examples like trauma. They are speaking about the bad experiences that they have had, and that they have been through a lot. Then from there, we slowly analyze what the real problem is. I'll show you a video and then we'll come back. Now, I'll show you the rest of the video, but before that, could you summarize whatever happened till now? Anyone? Elvina?
In that video, it shows the free association in that a person who has been coming with a problem of divorce,
Hmm.
and which that the person asks those words which is associated with it.
Hmm. So, who was the client here? Who was the client? What is the name?
The person.
Bob. I heard Bob. What did you hear? Okay, whatever. So, why has the person come for therapy? Why has the person
After
come?
divorce.
Yeah, for the divorce. It's because of divorce. Not for the divorce, it's because of divorce. Now, did you find any pattern from whatever he freely associated from from that material? Did you notice any pattern? And could you figure out what the problem between the husband and wife was?
I think the husband was like behaving like the dominant one and like being so strict and oh, how do you say this?
Yeah, was showed kind of male chauvinistic characters. Yes, yes. So that's what this is not as simple as shown in the cartoon video. Okay, it's a very tough process. It's a very subjective process also in terms, but you need to be very much trained if you to attempt this form of psychotherapy. Okay, and just like this, the therapist has to find patterns between whatever content the client is producing in terms of free association or dream analysis, anything. Okay, we'll see the rest of the video and come back. Next is dream analysis. I hope you understood free association. Hmm? There are different free association techniques also. One form is the client lies on the couch and then explains or talks about whatever comes to his or her mind. Otherwise, this is one method. The therapist will say one word, the client will associate another word with it. It is again free association. Okay. So after that, we are going to learn dream analysis or dream interpretation. So whatever unconscious desires or feelings or instincts is there in our mind, in our unconscious mind, that is shown in a symbolic form in our dreams. That is the assumption of psychodynamic theories. Okay, whatever fears, whatever wishes we have in our undesirable wishes that we have in our unconscious mind, we project that in a symbolic form in our dreams. Okay, that is the main assumption. Then, so again, the client talks or writes a report about the dreams, and then the therapist interprets them based on the symbols. Freud has given so many symbolic meanings to different things like snakes. Then if you see a house, it is like this. If you see a snake in a dream, it is like this. But many people who came after that stood against all these symbols. Okay, because there are no scientific evidences that this means this. So most of the people rejected those symbols. So dream analysis, because of these problems, because of the reason that we cannot prove that it is the real meaning, it has gained a lot of arguments against dream analysis. Understood? So again, why are we actually, you know, seeing these dreams, or why do we see this type of content? Is the argument given for it is that ego defenses, they are very much inactive during sleep. That's what they say. Okay, in consciousness we are aware, right? Ego follows the reality principle. We are in reality, so we have to the ego has to check with the id and superego and unconscious and everything. Ego has to look after all those things. But when we are at sleep, we are again in an altered state of consciousness. We are not aware of the things happening during sleep, isn't it? So what happens is it's like, I mean, in a funnier way, ego is taking a rest there. Ego is having a rest during our sleep. So what happens is all the things in the unconscious mind floats into the top levels. That's what happens. This is not the scientific way, but to understand, we can consider it like that. Okay, we'll see the rest of the video now. Did you understand? Dream interpretation. Yeah, so as I told you before, there are two types of contents, latent content and also manifest content. Manifest content is whatever we remember, the dream message. Suppose after waking up, I ask you, what did you dream about? Then whatever content you are giving me, whatever you're reporting to me, that is the manifest content. Okay? And latent content is not evident. We won't remember it because again, it's the unconscious part, right? If we can think of it, if we are aware of it, then that never becomes a part of our unconsciousness. So even free association can be used to make a meaning out of the dream contents of the dream, just as we saw in the video. Okay, What was the dream again, Amal? What was Bob's dream? What did Bob dream about? Something similar to a Drishyam movie.
He was wearing something.
He was trying to bury something, but what happened while he was trying to bury? What happened then? What was he trying to bury? Did he see that in the dream?
No, ma'am.
Not exactly. And what happened when he was trying to dig a hole? Anyone?
He was not able to bury,
He was?
not able to cover the object completely.
How much
much
he
ever he
tried,
did.
he was not able to bury it properly. Okay. So after that, the therapist did a free association. And from that, what did he or she interpret? What was
Hopelessness.
hopelessness? Okay. What was Bob trying to bury actually?
His
Is it its
depression,
past?
His depression, his Sneha, what did you say?
Is it his past?
Past, his failures, all those things. Okay, the failures, mainly the failures and hopeless feelings and all. That was something that he was trying to bury. So from that dream, from his reality we can understand after this interpretation. Is he successful in burying all those failures and the past feelings and emotions about these failures? Hmm? No, he's not. Because he's still struggling with it. That is why he saw such a dream. That's how we interpret, according to psychodynamic. And again, I'm telling you, this is not as easy as we saw just now. It's just an illustration of what really happens. Just a minor form, maybe 0.00001% of actually what happens. Okay. And one more thing that you have to note is this is a very long lasting process. We'll see the rest of the video before that. It is a very long lasting process and it might last for several years. The duration, it might last for several years, and the therapy can be conducted for 1 hour sessions every week, maybe 4 to 5 times a week. And mainly this type of therapies have 3 stages or 3 phases. What would be the first phase? In any therapy, what is the first phase?
observing and knowing the problem.
Observing and knowing the problem. So when a client comes to you, will you start observing and the next day you'll start solving the problem or finding the problem?
No,
What will you do? The
Enable
most
the client to speak.
yes. But what is that process of getting to know the client more?
interact.
Rapport building.
Interaction, okay, rapport building, establishing rapport. That's the main stage, the first stage. Okay, you observe, you do all the things during this rapport building phase. And the rest of the phases you'll understand when we learn about the transference, resistance, and all those things. And finally, this person reaches insight state. That is how it goes. Stage 1, 2, 3 in psychodynamic oriented therapies. We'll see what transference is. So, any doubt in free association and dream interpretation? No. So, what happens is when this free association or dream analysis happens, the ego, not ego, the id, superego, and we have those structural elements, right? They are suspended in a manner that we can interpret, the therapist can interpret what the real unconscious conflicts are, the intrapsychic conflicts are. So we are searching the intrapsychic conflicts and their causes in the deep sea, in the unconscious part. And how do we search for that? The client helps us to get into the unconscious part by giving us freely associated material or the dream content. Based on that, we dig deep. Okay. Now, next is transference. So, as I told you, there are two types of transference. And what is transference? What did you see in the video? The transfer of
Feelings
from the
past to the present.
past to the past to someone in the present. So in therapy, it happens with the client and the therapist. Okay. Now, have you seen a movie? I don't remember the name. That Mohanlal, actor Mohanlal is doing a character of a psychiatrist, and he has a female client, and she has had a traumatic experience in the past, and it is of, I think she lost her lover or something like that. Her lover was killed by someone. I think so. I don't remember it exactly. And this happens in when they were on a beach. Okay. So this image comes to her mind always, his client's mind. And what happens is when they start therapy in the midway, the client starts developing a strong liking for the psychiatrist, for the therapist. Okay. And this is positive transference, which means client has positive feelings like love, friendliness, everything towards the therapist. That is positive transference. Negative transference means this transfer of feelings will be of negative emotions like hostility, anger, then disgust, all those things. Okay, so transference are of two types, positive transference and negative transference. Please take page number 95. In the first paragraph, towards the last, we have it. This is the positive transference in which the client idealizes or falls in love with the therapist and seeks the therapist's approval. So every now and then, this client will keep on calling this therapist. Can I do that? Can I do this? Do you like this? Do you like this? I bought a new dress. Did you like the color? He'll start behaving in a manner which is over friendly, which is beyond the client therapist or the therapeutic relationship. That is positive transference. Now, in negative transference, see the next line. Negative transference is present when the client has feelings of hostility, anger, and resentment towards the therapist. They'll come for the therapy, but they'll be very aggressive towards the therapist, like very arrogant type. That is again negative transference. Okay. Then there is something called transference neurosis. See that? And what do you think, before explaining that, what do you think the therapist will do when the therapist smells that this transference is happening? Should the therapist encourage it, or the therapist stop there? Stop the client? What is your opinion? Tell me anything.
Both has its own goods and bads, right?
Why? Why is transference good?
is good because that person is able to cross through the past. So maybe the person can solve her or his problems by expressing those feelings.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct in the sense the therapist allows the transference to occur. Hmm? The therapist will not stop the client at the moment itself when the transference occurs, because the client was not able to express the emotions and all these feelings towards that person in the past properly. That is why the client is having problems, unconscious issues, and that is now coming into consciousness or projected in another way to the therapist. The client is not consciously doing it. It is coming out of the unconscious mind into the conscious part or the conscious awareness as a result of this therapy. Okay. And the therapist encourages this because that allows the client to become aware, to gain insight into his her problems. Okay, so transference is a therapeutic technique as such. It's a treatment method as such. And we have to interpret the transference also. We should not allow the client to go with this intention that the therapist also likes. And that also happens sometimes. In therapy, the therapist is also a human being, right? Therapist also starts to have feelings for the client. That is counter transference, something called counter transference. I don't think you have that in here, but we'll discuss about it later. Okay, so did you understand about transference? Now, when this transference occurs at a full-blown manner, that is called transference neurosis. See that? We'll read from the fourth, fifth, or sixth line. The therapist encourages this process because it helps her or him in understanding the unconscious conflicts of the client. Underline that. The client acts out her or his frustrations, anger, fear, and depression that he or she harbored towards that person in the past but could not express at that time. Therapist becomes a substitute for that person in the present. This stage is called transference neurosis. A full-blown transference neurosis is helpful in making the therapist aware of the nature of intrapsychic conflict suffered by the client. Okay, again, when we take the example of the punitive father, the father has been so rude to the child. And when this child grows into an adult, the child is having again intrapsychic problems, intrapsychic conflicts. So the adult again comes to the therapy and has transference, negative transference towards the therapist, which means the client is very arrogant, very hostile towards the therapist. Again, the therapist allows this process. Why? Because the client was not able to express these hostility or anger towards the father during the past time. And that is why the client has that problem. Intrapsychic conflicts again exist. So during the past or the childhood period, the id of the client would be saying, please act, please be angry, because that gives a relief to that person. But the ego told this is not morally correct. Ego started defense mechanism. So ego repressed all these feelings, and ego sent all these hostile feelings and anger into deep into which part of the mind?
Unconscious.
Unconscious mind. So that is why there again this is trying to come out. Again anxiety is coming. Again intrapsychic conflicts are going in a circle. That is what is being expressed now in therapy as or in the form of transference. Okay, so obviously that is a good method, right? Transference is a good method, and the therapist has to encourage the client, not encourage in the sense, yes, become more angry towards me. That's not what the therapist does. But in the sense, they should not stop the client from being, transferring the feelings. That's it. And also, the therapist should not act in an unethical way. Like they should not try to manipulate this person, especially if they're showing positive transference. You should not manipulate the client in any manner. It's against our ethics. Okay. So that's about transference, positive transference, negative transference, all those things. I hope you understood. And please read up the portion. And if you have any doubt again, come back. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.